Speaking of Ultima Online,
Uh-oh.
I'm just donning him up. I saw there was an article talking about the new updates coming out for Ultima Online in 2019, and my first response was, "They're still updating Ultima Online?"
I mean, a lot of these older games, still have pretty good, following.
Right.
You know, like I said, Meridian, we were able to get a few thousand people, which was, decent at the time.
It's just amazing how loyal some fandoms are to certain games.
Well, like the big thing with like Ultima Online, I know they were very successful for a long time because one of the things they did was they had very low system requirements.
Right.
And so, like even if there was cooler and bigger and better games out,
It was old reliable.
Right. It was a game that people kind of like could play. Well, that was kind of scary. They knew that their computer would be able to handle it. And like this is kind of the same thing. The same thing I have.
Secret room up here.
What was that?
There's a secret room up here.
Okay. Wait a second.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with like EverQuest.
Right. EverQuest had something very similar, where it is very low system requirement, and so like it allowed people to basically allowed people to kind of keep playing it even when kind of newer cooler games out, but those had much higher system requirements.
Your pet has departed.
And so those games didn't necessarily some people were basically just kind of stuck with the older game.
And once you're once you're into that game and you're invested in it, then
right
you're a lot of times like psychologically you're stuck with it because you have all these investments and you're like, oh god, if I stop playing for a month then I'll lose my house. That's what 14 has for a lot of people.
Right.
Because in Final Fantasy 14, if you don't enter your player house at least once every 45 days, it'll auto demolish itself, and you'll lose your house.
Right, and Ultima Online had kind of something very similar where it basically had a housing that it had housing that it was basically the same thing. If you didn't log on occasion, we missed something up north. There's a star up north, so
yeah, I see it.
Take a look at that.
Star Wars Galaxies had a similar. It had like an hourly upkeep fee. Or I think it was hourly. It might have been like daily or weekly. I don't remember.
Right.
but you had to keep like soaking. I mean, if you had a lot of credits, then you could just dump a whole bunch of credits in and be good for a year or whatever.
Right, right. Yeah, and a lot of games kind of. But like I don't remember if Ultima Online had a. I don't remember if Ultima Online had a monetary upkeep, but they definitely had an upkeep. There's definitely an upkeep to the, you had to basically kind of go in and touch your house, basically similar to Final Fantasy, every X period of time. Otherwise, you ran the risk of losing your house, and that was a powerful motivator for a lot of people to kind of stay. Because, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with EVE Online, where things had actual monetary value.
Right.
People would sell, instead of getting rid of stuff, houses and whatnot, people would sell the houses to other people on eBay or whatnot.
Right.
And so this is kind of like one of those interesting discussions of, I think we can just go out here, portal to the other side, but people selling resources like that instead of basically freeing it back into the world for other people to enjoy. It felt a little awful for people to kind of hold on to things and then sell them instead of letting other people have them when they wanted to when they wanted to release it. And Ultima Online literally limited housing because it was all in the open world.
Right. Like Star Wars Galaxy was made in that vein.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's basically where they took it from.
Yeah.
Whereas Final Fantasy 14, they can and do on a regular basis.
Space.
Right. Adding more wards and whatnot. Yeah.
In EVE, Dejar was saying, in EVE, it is less a matter of the system shutting down your in-space structures as the other players shooting at them. If you have no enemies, it might be fine.
Right. Well, but of course, it's not just potential enemies you have as well. It's does someone want that? Let's go into this cavern here, the Ice Deep Cavern. I think this is what we need.
Okay.
Oh, I think this is a side quest, but yeah.
That's fine. Whatevs.
We're just grinding up while we're talking. And so yeah, and this was kind of seen as a way, if you get people invested into the game by either having something limited or having something invested in, because in Final Fantasy, houses are not cheap. You have to kind of throw in a good amount of money in order to.
Which I actually have a genuine frustration at the moment because I have a medium-sized house on a server I don't even play on anymore.
Right. But you don't really want to get rid of it, and it's against the rules to sell it, and so yeah.
So I'm just stuck with it.
Right. You don't want to just kind of. I guess the upcoming server transfers and whatnot, that'll potentially be interesting for you because you could potentially transfer to another server and get some of that money back.
Which I've been thinking about doing. But yeah, yeah, it's a hard position to be in. But that's just the thing. I'm so invested in having that house, but then I could get my money back, Which, even if I just get the auto demolition amount, that would be like 18 million gil.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that it's a 20 million gil house.
Right.
And right now,
which is like what? That's like 5 hours of that's 5 hours of working at a brothel.
Oh my goodness. Nice.
Making that callback. Oh. This game is mean because like like one of the enjoyable things in Diablo games and whatnot, even in Dungeons and Dragons Online,
the destructibles.
It's just destructibles, but like every once in a while, they're like one of those old timey round iron bombs pops out. You gotta run away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so like, like a lot of times things like that will keep you. The other, and even EverQuest, like for the longest time, the mantra in EverQuest, a lot of people kind of felt like they weren't necessarily having a lot of fun playing it anymore, but their friends played, and like they had fun with their friends, so
they're stuck in a sense.
I mean, but I mean like like I don't think it's really kind of unique to this type of thing, I think that a kind of a good comparison for this is like like you go to a bar, like going to a bar and getting drunk is not necessarily an exciting thing in and of itself, but if you go
around it.
Right, and or going with friends, when you're spending time with friends and whatnot. I think this is the way to the boss fight. Let's go search the other branch. Like going with friends, especially, like social activity. I mean, and I was kind of telling somebody about like this game, and when we were trying it out the other day, they're like, oh, how is it? I'm like, it's fine, but I'm playing with a friend, so it automatically makes everything better.
Right.
Like, so I think like people can kind of kind of look at that type of thing. Oh, like the game's not fun. It's just it's just the player. It's just your friends playing it. But like I don't think that's an unusual thing, even for non-game activities.
Yeah, like I had that issue on Final Fantasy 14. I mean issue, where I joined Final Fantasy 14 to play with Solaria, who's mod in my chat. And so like we started on Sargatanis, and then Sargatanis just ended up being like a super toxic server. But that's where our guild, Cell's guild was, and where all the friends were, because they've been playing since 1.0. And but we all decided to move to Malboro, where because it was a smaller server, and there's like an economic boom on that server, and we were a crafting guild.
Right. I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
So like,
and so it was a better market for you as a crafting guild to sell your wares than.
Right, but
and a better community.
Eventually, it turned to the Sargatanis again because preferred server status, and new people coming in for Heaven's Word, and like the server grew, and it stopped being good. And then I got to the point where I just stopped doing stuff, and I stopped having things to do because I wasn't running content like I used to. So I spent all of Heaven's Word just sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
And it was really hard for me to, finally say, I need to go to a different server. I need to go to an RP server because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And it took me months to like come to that conclusion because I didn't want to lose my friends.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, your friends kind of motivate you to kind of stay with the server, and because you're having fun with them, and they're your friends. we do a lot of things for our friends that we might not do otherwise. So.
Right.
But yeah, and so I mean, you kind of have, like I said, you kind of have that same thing with you have the same thing with a lot of these older games where like you have people that have been playing like, I mean like my example is Dungeons and Dragons Online. I've been playing that game for I don't know like 7-8 years now, and I've only really kind of been playing it like about once or twice a week. There was a time when I was doing a lot of soloing, but now I play once, twice a week. But a lot of it's just kind of like a chance to hang out with these people I've been literally playing with for like 7-8 years. Like you know. I think there's gonna be a boss fight. So
yeah, I'm just like clearing inventory real fast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your pet has departed.
Oh, did you go in?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's nothing right near the door here, so.
Oh, and highway. One of my FC mates from Elboro popped in.
God, that Melbourne is terrible, huh?
Asking what game we're playing. Yeah, this be Torchlight 2. Welcome to the podcast. We're talking about random stuff.
As we do.
Oh yeah, and people will play Ultima Online and take a break, but keep their subscription going.
Right.
So that's interesting too, because then they're making money, 100% off of loyalty.
Right.
And making money and spending less resources making money, because that's one less person to have to allocate server resources towards.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and this is a my pet is now mimicking.
Oh my goodness. My pet is still at the store. He went out to get milk.
He went to get cigarettes. He's not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna have an awkward meeting, like years later.
Like 20 years later.
Mm.
Well,
Did
you get the cigarettes?
Your pet returns.
I get my pet's return. Let me transfer my pet into something horrible.
And so yeah, I think that's one of the things you gotta kind of keep in mind for the. You just have that weight of having played with people for a long time.
Right. I mean, like, Sel and I have been playing games since middle school.
Right.
Like 15 years now.
Yeah, but I mean, like you'll meet people on. You'll meet people on games, and you form friendships and whatnot. I've heard it happens.
I mean, they're my mods in my channel right now listening to us.
All right. Oh shit!
Why?
That was horrible.
Why are you so bad at video games? Well, I guess what you said's true. Developing games and playing games are two different skills, I guess.
Yes. I'm just gonna quit the main menu. Okay.
It's okay, I'm just... Oh! You almost got me there.
Obviously my mimic of a pet was supposed to do better than that.
I have a spider. He eats small children. Oh God.
The real boss. Oh. Well.
Can I res you or something?
No, I think it's you just kind of you get the option to pop back into the.
Okay. Hey, aren't you supposed to be the tank? Why don't you tank?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Fuck me.
Where's your heal bot?
That I was just thinking.
There we go. Now I am the master.
I guess. There's a forgotten chest over here. Let's not forget it.
What chest? What? Where?
Ooh, a mysterious pet tag.
Trash.
I got an orange pet tag.
Ooh. Sounds mysterious.
Oh, wow. 49 fire damage, 30 poison damage, 22 health.
Oh my. For your pet?
Yeah, and 17 to every armor.
Wow.
Yeah, that's as
So that's almost everything we had on the list.
How are we doing on time? I guess we got half an hour. I guess we're gonna open up to questions. We have any questions, comments, concerns? I know Dejara has kind of thrown in 2 cents occasionally, and